know what's so funny is I could see it sitting at the top and I reshuffled it again and again and again and it kept coming back up to the top. And this time when I reshuffled it, I was like, I'm not going to have a look.
Hey book lovers, we are Ellen and Sarah and this is Besties and Books, where we drink wine, share laughs, talk fantasy and all the stories that steal our hearts. For those who joined us for episode 1, we set ourselves our first reading challenge: 3 fantasy books from one TBR jar and 1 non-fantasy book from an alternative genre TBR jar. Next week, we will be discussing how we both fared with those book selections, what we loved, what irked us, what we found intriguing, what we found lacking. I'm quite excited for that episode, actually.
I'm so excited.
But for today's episode, over to Ellen.
So like Sarah said, we're back to our TBR jars. And I just wanted to explain our TBR jars a little bit because we do it a bit differently to a lot of other booktubers I've seen out there. Most people will do a prompt and they'll put the prompt in the TBR jar and pick a book using that prompt. How our TBR jars work is we have 2 jars. One, we've written a list of fantasy and fantasy romance books. There's about 100 in there to choose from. And we do a random draw each month. So there's no mood reading here. They're all random. We have no idea what book we're going to pick for the month, which I find so exciting because we have no idea what we're going to read and we might pick something that we otherwise would not have got to for a very, very long time and it just would have sat on our list. And the same works for our second TBR jar. So in the second TBR jar, we have a list of random genres to test ourselves and challenge ourselves. And we pull a random genre and then there's a couple of book options listed underneath that genre to choose from. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I've got my little jar here. So let's do a little shuffle.
I'm excited. I'll get Goodreads up and I can look them up.
They're all sticking together and I'm trying not to look. Okay, what have we got?
Don't cheat.
Yeah! I'm so excited! It's not the series that I was talking about, but this is one of my most anticipated reads. Okay. It's a standalone. Okay, I'm going to try and do the zoom in thing again. Let's see if this works. Why?
No, there's too much light, so I can't see.
Okay, we're going to get... It's supposed to have an auto zoom effect. It's just not working. Oh. Okay. So, the first book in the jar for this month is Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wang. I am so excited to read this book. I've heard amazing things. It's called Sword of Kaigen. So Kaigan, sword, like a sharp sword.
Oh, sword.
Yeah. So from what I know about this book, it's a real emotional roller coaster and it pulls on the heartstrings of motherhood in particular. And I guess your identity as a mother and an individual as well. And there's a really complex fantasy world built into it. So I don't know much about the synopsis outside of that, but I've heard it's amazing.
Well,
so
have
you got it up?
4.5 stars on Goodreads. It says this is the quick read. A mother struggling to repress her violent past, a son struggling to grasp his violent future, a father blind to the danger that threatens them all. When the winds of war reach their peninsula, what will the Matsuda family have the strength to defend their empire, or will they tear each other apart before the true enemies even reach their shores? Cool.
Ooh, I'm excited.
I've never heard of it. I've never heard of this author either.
Yeah, I haven't. I've just heard about this book. I haven't heard about this author otherwise, and I'm really in the mood to have my heart ripped out, so I hope that this book has that effect.
Have you read any
sick
of the
when
reviews?
I say it like that. No, I've only heard other booktubers talk about it.
Yeah, it gets 60,000 reviews and it's 4.5 stars. So that's the first review says, it's a perpetual pleasure to finally find a book you can give yourself up to, a book you can curl inside and let the rest of the world flow around you.
Oh, that's such a nice review.
So that sounds nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right.
Number 1 picked.
Here it comes. It's the series I really wanted. Yay!
Are you sure you didn't cheat?
Do you know what's so funny is I could see it sitting at the top and I reshuffled it again and again and again and it kept coming back up to the top. And this time when I reshuffled it, I was like, I'm not going to have a look. So it's the Legacy series by Melissa K. Roerich. I am so excited for the series. I actually have no idea what the plot is about, but I've heard really great things. A lot of booktubers have said it's a god tier read. I think it's more on the darker fantasy romance side.
Okay.
There is, I don't know if it's considered a prequel series, but there is technically a series that comes before this that's set in the same, I think, universe, and it's called, I think it's the Lady of Darkness series. So technically you're supposed to read that one first to have the biggest emotional impact, but you can read it the other way around, and a lot of people choose to do it that way because the Legacy series is just a lot better than the Lady of Darkness series, apparently. So I don't mind doing it the other way around, but I'm excited.
Is this one called The Reign of Shadows and Endings?
Yes. Oh, and this is a good one because it's on our Kindle. The whole series is on Kindle Unlimited. So if you signed up, you'll
I did
get it for free.
Today, actually.
Cool.
Okay, well, it gets 4 stars on Goodreads.
Okay.
Just the first couple of lines. Of all the worlds and life they created, the gods favoured their children the most. But with that favour came the fear that their legacy would one day become too powerful and overthrow them. And then it goes on, and I see there's Fae, there's chosen ones, there's, you know, dark kingdoms. Sounds right up our alley.
So the only part that makes me nervous about this is a lot of people that rate this like a god tier series along with ACOTAR and those sorts of series is they also rate the Zodiac Academy. So I don't know if it's going to be dark in the sense of that sort of I guess area of fantasy or fantasy romance, or if it's just a darker.
I didn't mind the darkness in Zodiac Academy. The thing that really got to me, and in a lot of the reviews, they called it a bully romance. And I didn't really understand. Like, what do you mean by bully? Like, it was dark and that didn't bother me. But the bully side, like, so many times, these women are just, like, shat upon. Like, literally, these poor girls get, like, peed on by the men. They're just, like, constantly beaten down, degraded, sort of like mildly sexually abused, but it just happens again and again and again. And like, obviously eventually, you know, they sort of get their payback a bit, but I really struggled reading that it was mainly the first 2 or 3 books. Like, I enjoyed it enough that I kept going. I read the whole, you know, 9 books or whatever's in the series, but I sort of was on like the edge of my seat, cringing through quite a few scenes. I just was like, oh, this is just too much.
Yeah, a booktuber that I follow, I think echoes a lot of what you just said. She's just started reading it. I think she's at the end of book 2, and she said the same thing. She hates the bully romance side. She doesn't condone it at all. She actually wants to rate this book like 1 or 2 stars, but at the same time, it was so addictive to read and it was so easy to read, and she wanted to know what happened, so she's going to continue with the rest of the series.
So I wanted to finish it, but I think like the last couple of books I was skimming to just get to the, like, I think they could have halved the series. They could have done a fantastic series in 4 or 5 books and just cut out all the fluff, because the last few years the bully side of it is no longer there, but there's just so much padding. It's just, she wrote 3 books what she could have put in 1 book towards the end.
I've heard similar reviews. Yeah. But I don't think I'll be reading it. It just doesn't sound like something I'd enjoy. Maybe I need to try a different dark romance first or something before I take on Zodiac Academy. But I feel like it's an initiation into fantasy and fantasy romance book talk to read Zodiac Academy. The
thing that I couldn't get my head around as well is that it's got this vibe that it's like very much young adult, because it's like the whole Harry Potter set in the school, everyone's learning their magic, they're all, you know, I don't know, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. So we're not talking sort of, you know, sophisticated adult readers, but then a lot of the themes, then she just threw out these themes that were very mature, even though the setting sort of lended itself to a younger audience. Like, I couldn't get my head around, who are you targeting here? Like, if you're targeting 18-year-olds, they're not, I don't think they should, I really wouldn't have enjoyed reading it at 18. I barely survived it now. Anyway. I think you should read it. I think you should read book one just to see.
I think I will one day, maybe when I've got a lot of time, like over a Christmas break or something like that. And, you know, I've got through Brandon Sanderson, I've got through Crescent City, all the really big, large series that I want to read. And then I'll probably pick up Zodiac just so that I know what everyone else is talking about. And like I said, I feel like it's an initiation. People need to know if you love or hate it. So maybe one day. But it's just not on the cards anytime soon.
Good.
All right, last book in the fantasy and fantasy romance, and then we get to pick another random genre. Let's see. Surely we need a book that's not so high on my wish list.
Oh,
I am really excited for this series.
Are there actually any series in there that you don't really want to read though?
It's not that I don't want to read them. It's just they're low on the priority list. Because if I watch a lot of recommendations, if I hear it recommended over and over and over again, then that makes me want to read it more. Yeah. Whereas if I've heard only one person review it and they gave a stellar review, I'll write it down, but I probably won't think about it again. And so they're the ones that I'm like, oh, I can't even remember why I wrote that down.
Yeah, why is it even here?
Yeah, which is kind of what happened last month with like the Rage of Dragons book. I was like, I don't even remember writing this down. Where does this come from?
It's there now.
So anyway, the book series is an Ember in the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir. So I've heard great things from memory about books 1, maybe even 2. I've heard, I think, 1 or 2 of the books in the series falls a bit flat, but I've heard great things at least about book 1.
Is book 1... Is book 1 actually called An Ember in the Ashes?
Yeah, I think it's actually called An Ember in the Ashes, book 1.
Let's have a look. So it gets 4.24 on Goodreads, and then the quick synopsis is Leia is a slave, Elias is a soldier, neither are free. Under the martial empire, defiance is met with death. Those who do not vow their blood and bodies to the emperor risk the execution of their loved ones and the destruction of all they hold dear. It is in this brutal world, inspired by ancient Rome, that Leia lives with her grandparents and older brother. The family ekes out an existence in the empire's impoverished backstreets. They do not challenge the empire. They've seen what happens to those who do. But when Leia's brother is arrested for treason, Leia is forced to make a decision. In exchange for help from rebels who promise to rescue her brother, she will risk her life to spy for them from within the Empire's greatest military academy. There she meets Elias, the school's finest soldier, and secretly its most unwilling. There we go. I mean...
Oh, okay.
We'll see. I also haven't heard of this book or the author, so that'll be good. She's a New York Times best-selling author, so...
Yeah, I've heard really great things about her as an author. I think she's written more than this particular series off the top of my head. Maybe. Not sure, but this is the series that I know about. Anyway, I'm excited. What?
Cool.
A TBR for the month. Like, these are some of my most anticipated reads.
Are they all big reads too?
They are.
Are we gonna get through?
I mean, Sword of Kaigen is a standalone, but I think it's a pretty big book. And then the Legacy series is 4 books. And then the Sabaa Tahir one and Ember in the Ashes is 4 books as well. So I think maybe we'll check in. What we might do is we might check in throughout the month, see if we continue the series within the same month or we'll pick it up in the following month. But yeah, we'll talk about that next month. Oh, exciting. All right, let's do the new genre, the one I'm most scared about.
Oh, I know. This one has
Hopefully you get something to change it up a bit though too. Yeah.
There's some very strange genres in here. All right, here we go.
I just hope it's not the biography. I don't think I could.
We have historical fiction.
Oh, okay.
Book number 1 is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna.
Yeah.
And book number 2 is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon.
I think I already know which one I'm leaning towards.
Which one do you want?
The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Because the reason why I say that is Outlander is like a 10-book series. It might even be more than that. It might be 12 books. And I've heard The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna is a really gut-wrenching, emotional book as well.
It gets 4.6 on Goodreads from 1,700,000 reviews. That's massive.
The Kristen Hannah one.
Yeah, Nightingale.
Wow.
So I'm very happy with that one.
Okay.
In Love, we find
4.6.
Yeah.
Is that what you
In
said?
Love, we find out who we want to be. In War, we find out who we are. So it's set in France in 1939 in the quiet village of Carrivaux, probably butchering that name. Vianna says goodbye to her husband Antoine as he heads out for the front. She doesn't believe that the Nazis will invade France, but invade they do. In droves of marching soldiers and caravans of trucks and tanks in planes that fill the sky and drop bombs upon the innocent. When a German captain requisitions Vianne's home, she and her daughter must live with the enemy or lose everything. Without food or money or hope, as danger escalates all around them, she's forced to make one impossible choice after another to keep her family alive. Cool.
Wow, that's going to be a heavy one.
I do quite like a historical fiction.
Do you?
So, yeah.
I didn't know that about you. Okay.
I do. I mean, I probably should have said this earlier, but I've actually also read Outlander.
Oh! Well, probably a good thing we didn't pick it then.
Yeah, well, I would have.
So you've read the whole 9 books?
No.
How many books is it?
Do you know what? I got up to, yeah, it is something like that. I think I got up to book maybe 7.
Yeah.
But I would just listen to it on Audible as I was driving around and stuff. But they were so long. By the end, like, book 7's like, I'm not even going to guess, but like 40 hours or something crazy on Audible. Like, they're just very long books. And they were good. But again, I think like the first book I would definitely recommend. I loved it. And then I think every book after that I just sort of loved a little bit less.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I've heard the TV
I would
series.
Read book 1 just as a standalone.
Okay, interesting. All right, I might have to pick it up sometime then. I have heard I think that, like you said, the first couple books are good. And I've also heard amazing things about the TV show, which I haven't seen.
I haven't either. I looked at it, and then when I saw how many seasons they'd already released, I was just like,
no,
I don't want to get into it.
Wow, what a TBR. Well, I think, because I know that Sword of Kaigen is supposed to be pretty emotional, and that the Kristen Hannah one is supposed to be pretty emotional too. So I think I'll read those on the opposite spectrum of each other. Like, I don't think I could do those two back to back. But yeah,
do you read them all on your Kindle, or do you get some of them on Audible?
I do them all I read them all physically. I do listen to audiobooks sometimes, but it's usually on a reread. Not usually a first book off the bat. I did think about doing it for A Good Girl's Guide to Murder for last month, but it just so happened it was cheaper on the Kindle than it was on audiobook. So, and I've exhausted my audiobook credits. So, yeah, I read the paperback. So, yeah, I mean, I might. But I think for all of these ones, because I think I'm going to love all of them, I'd rather
get them on the Kindle.
Physical book. Yeah.
I agree. If it's a book I really want to read, I'll read it on my Kindle. Or if it's a book that I think I might need to concentrate a bit more, I will read it on my Kindle. If it's a book that I feel like is going to be an easy listening, I don't have to pay much attention to, like The Trial of the Sun King or whatever that one was called, I definitely got that one on Audible.
Yeah.
Cool, I'm excited.
Me too. I'm really, really excited. On the other hand, I think this is going to push back my Crescent City Book 3 catch-up. Because all of these, I think, are quite big books. But, you know, maybe I'll squeeze it in there. We'll see. Oh, yay. Exciting.
That is a wrap from us today. Next week, we will be reviewing the 4 books we selected to read last month and all the highs and lows we experienced with those. We're not discussing the books before the episode, so it's going to be very interesting to hear how we both found them. I'm actually super excited for that.
We are not agreeing on the rating, so we're going to give each of our own separate ratings for this, and this is a no judgment zone. So Sarah might love something that I didn't like, and I might love something that Sarah just didn't like. So I'm super excited as well for that episode.
Yeah, same. Thank you for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you hit the subscribe button, give us a big thumbs up, and drop a comment below telling us which books you are dying to read, and any suggestions we will add to our TBR jars. We are so excited to hear your thoughts and cannot wait to chat with you all. Until next time, bye.